So here's a big question. Should you be starting a business during a recession? Well, that's a massive dilemma because on one hand, you might be a person who thinks there's always opportunity, but on another hand, you might be rightly so, a little intimidated of what's going on in the economy. Well, my name is Susan Sly. I am a tech co-founder. I'm a co-CEO. I'm a tech investor, and I'm a mom of 5. And I want to personally welcome you to Raw and Real Entrepreneurship. And if you haven't checked out my podcast, we are on every single podcast station you can physically imagine, from Amazon to iTunes to iHeartRadio. We're everywhere. So check it out. It is growing all over the world. We're in over 100 countries. And it's for people just like you. You have a dream, you have a goal, you have a vision, and you are an entrepreneur or you want to be an entrepreneur. Well, as we get into today's content, I want to talk about the R word, recession. I have been traveling like crazy, and you might have noticed, hey, Susan, there haven't been a lot of new videos on your YouTube channel. Yes, it has been an absolute whirlwind. So I have been traveling all over the country doing speaking events for companies like NVIDIA and Lenovo. I've been talking about Radius every opportunity I can get. I've been meeting with potential customers, existing customers, and I, literally think I know the flight attendants by name when I get on the airplane these days. But it, as crazy as it's been, it's worthwhile. And whether we're going into a recession or not, or whether the economy is going to rebound, here's the thing I know. We always have to make the most of where we're at the time we're there. And that's why this topic was so important to me, because on all of these airplanes, I'm sitting there and I'm having conversations with people just like you. And we're all wondering about the economy. We're all wondering, what should we do in terms of investing and saving and business and all of those things. And then you hear that companies like Tesla and Airbnb, which I'm going to talk about in today's case study, are laying off employees, and it can get the most positive person a little bit nervous. So I want to talk to you today about 5 reasons that you should think about starting a business during a recession. So let's talk about businesses that were started during a recession. So here's just a few. Microsoft in the recession of the early 70s. EA Games was started in the 80s, in the early 80s during a recession. And then the most recent recession, 07 to 09, we have companies like Uber and Warby Parker. And of course, one of the ones I'm talking about, Airbnb, during a recession. And you think about these companies that we use their apps all the time. Instagram is another one, and that was started back during the recession and then later acquired by, of course, Facebook, now Meta. So there are examples of these huge multi-billion-dollar companies that are started when everyone else is nervous. And so I want you to think about this, that achievers, entrepreneurs, they take opportunity when other people don't see opportunity. Why? Because they don't believe in luck, they create their own luck. So let's get into these 5 things. So the first one to really understand is, when you start this business, even during a recession, you are still going to be working, because you have to put a roof over your head and you also have to pay the bills. So the founder of Airbnb, Brian Chesky, he and his partner, Joe Gebbia, they were selling cereal. They were doing all these side hustles to put food on the table when they started that company. And so thinking about that, it isn't an all or nothing. And this is where people get really, really nervous. They think, oh, I'm going to leave my job and start my business. And in fact, one of the subscribers to this channel is a really good friend of mine, and she left a large accounting firm to start her business, but she didn't do it until she had some clients who were lined up and ready to go. And her husband was working full-time as an engineer. So they really de-risked that. And I can tell you right now, if I woke up in in your shoes and I was thinking of starting a business, I would make sure that I had plenty of savings. I had paid off all of my commercial debt. And ideally, if I was with a partner, that they're still working while I'm out there pursuing my entrepreneurial dreams. So number one is you are still going to be working, my friend, while you're starting this business. Number two is that developing your product and your first product or your MVP, your minimum viable product, it might take 1 to 2 years. And guess what? By then, the recession's over. Most recessions last on average about 16, 18 months. Now they can feel like they're lasting for years, but it's a relatively short time span. So during this time, you're working, you're getting your idea together, you're maybe, finding some people who are going to help you build this, you're investing some money, or you're working with an incubator like my FemBoss incubator. And if you are interested in starting a business, go to fembossincubator.com, check it out. We are doing monthly live pitches. It's so cool. And we come alongside you, we help you ideate, we help you take that idea, get your MVP out the door. So during this time, and I know this just from the applicants that are coming through FemBoss and also my own experience sitting on incubator boards, is that during this time, you are getting your idea, you're out there kind of testing the waters. Are people going to be interested in this? And if it's a tech company, you're having that tech built, so you have that initial product. So thinking about that, yes, it's going to take some time. And guess what? By the time it's all ready to go, recession's over, you have your customers lined up. That is a good thing. So when we look at the Airbnb model, what happened with them is they had their initial minimum viable product and they were starting to get a little bit of traction. By the time the recession was over, they had started to iron out the kinks in terms of their product offering. And that's when the company really started to grow. The third thing is you are going to want to solve one problem, not 2 problems, 3 problems, 4 problems. In the world of startups, that's the question. What is the problem that you're trying to solve, right? So Chemsky, what he was trying to solve is he couldn't pay his rent. So Gebby and Chemsky, they have this apartment in San Francisco. It's like $1,200 a month in rent back then, which was a lot of money. And they noticed that all the hotels were selling out for conferences. So they decided to get some air mattresses and put them on the floor and rent out this, they called it the air bed and breakfast on their floor for $80 a night. And they start to get some people who would rent out sleeping on their floor and start to make money to pay their rent. And they thought, wow, we're really onto something. So what was the problem they were solving? People were looking for inexpensive accommodation when all of the hotels were sold. Now, Airbnb has really grown and expanded. And I'm sure just like our family, we stay in a lot of Airbnbs, but that shifted over time. But that was the initial problem. So my question for you is, what is one problem that you see right now that you could solve? And one of the companies coming through FemBoss, I won't disclose what the idea is, but it's a very simple problem that they're trying to solve. And that's why they are going to have a massive amount of success. Now you have a very simple problem you want to solve. What is your simple solution? Now you might be saying, Susan, oh my gosh, there are many ways to solve this problem. Well, you want to narrow it down and make it super simple, because at some point, if you're going to bring on investment capital, those VCs or angel investors, and I know because I'm an investor, but I've also pitched investors, that they want to know, okay, here's the problem. Okay, I get it. I understand it. But what's your simple solution? So the Airbnb founders, they had a very simple solution to what they were going to do. We're going to let people rent out their homes or a room in their homes to complete strangers. And we're going to take out essentially the middleman. We're going to get a piece of the transaction, but they're going to post the photos. All we're going to do is vet them. And we're going to let the owner of the residence transact with the guest of the residence. It was very, very simple. The fifth thing, should you start a business during a recession, one of the biggest opportunities you have if you start a business during a recession is that it is a cheap labor market. Going back to these companies that are laying off their engineers, their data scientists, marketing people, HR people, is that when the labor market, previously, up until recently, we were in a labor market where there were fewer people than there were jobs, right? So you had employees who could write their own ticket. I don't want to work in an office, or I want a hybrid environment, or, whatever it is I want, I'm going to get it. Well, that dynamic is shifting. And with lots of these companies laying off people, the opportunity is there in the startup world because it allows you to attract great people, because guess what? There will be now more people than there are jobs, and you'll be able to attract great people, and maybe they'll work for you part-time initially, even for free, for some equity in your company. So it's always a great opportunity. So my friend, the question is, what are you going to do? Are you going to start a business, or maybe you have a business? Whatever it is, I would just say there is always an opportunity if you're willing to step back, take a breath, and see all of the possibilities. So with that, make sure you go to StudentSly.com. I have a brand new checklist. If you're an employee wanting to become an entrepreneur, I take you through over 72 things you need to know, and it's a free checklist. So go check that out on StudentSly.com. And if you have a topic for a video, go to StudentSly.com, shoot me a little note at the info, and we'll take a look. And if it's something that makes sense for this channel, I'd be happy to make a video just for you. So with that, God bless, go rock your day, and I will see you in another video.